It's not always that someone feels violated. What might violate one person is not going to violate another person. So it's important to have like a definition that fits everyone, right? So you've got to at some point understand it in terms of something that happens each and every time someone is disrespected. Something has happened. So I started to talk to people. I started to ask them when they felt disrespected, what happened, what took place. When someone felt disrespected, they had just not been listened to. So that was part one. But there was another theme, there was another thing that showed up in all the cases, not one exception, all the cases, which was they hadn't been responded to authentically. They had been given lies. It had been decided for them what they could handle. For example, there was this kid who was told by his parents that his uncle is not well and that they've taken him to a hospital far away instead of telling him that he died. And then a few days later the body came, and when the body came he felt disrespected more than anything else. In fact, that was more than his sadness, his sense of betrayal, feeling disrespected, that was a lot higher than the sorrow that he felt actually. So by deciding for other people whether they can handle something or not, we are still being disrespectful. By saying lies to them with benevolent intentions, we are still being disrespectful. Does this mean that we should not lie? Of course not, because some people want you to lie, and they'll let you know that they want you to lie. That if you try to pry open someone's delusions without their permission, they're going to get very upset at you. They're going to feel disrespected again. So how hard is it to live with respect? First, you'll have to develop something called empathy, which is to see it from the other person's point of view and also to see yourself. How do you look to the other person? I'm not 100% successful at this all the time, but I'm getting good with practice, and anybody can practice. It's not that difficult. You need to have the will first. Do you really want to build a culture where you are respected and everybody else around you feels respected? What do you think are the benefits of such a culture? People are going to cooperate with you all the time. You're going to build a parallel economy of wealth. In addition to the wealth that you have monetarily, you're going to build a parallel economy which is called a gift economy. People would love to give you their services and products and talents in exchange for what? Your talents, your products, your services. And a lot of things get done. In fact, in a gift economy, there's no measure of value, right? Value is just your emotions. If you feel that somebody is valuable, then they're valuable. So you do anything for them. So there's no limit to which people will give you if you build a culture of respect. There is no love without respect. If somebody is going to tell you that there exists any love with disrespect, then run from there, because that's bullshit. Now, the only problem is when you reject someone. When you reject someone's, you have to be careful to completely listen to them, get every aspect of what they're saying, repeat it back to them, and tell them that you're rejecting them with this reason. This is my reason for rejecting you. I don't think it can work, or I hope you see this. You know, you present it like that, but do not feel entitled to reject people. If you feel entitled, then you'll obviously leave a bad taste, and that causes repercussions later in the general psyche of that person. And they do things, they will objectify you as a threat. And if something is a threat, what do we do to it? A cockroach. Someone sees a cockroach. Poor thing doesn't do anything, yeah, the cockroach. It doesn't even spread any diseases as far as I know, but everybody is creeped out by it, and they keep killing that poor guy. He's actually maybe eating some mosquitoes, I don't know. What do? They just want some scraps of your clothes and this and that. They're a pest, no doubt, but they're not a pestilence. And yet people who feel threatened by cockroaches just go around killing them, splat, splat. So you'll have to objectify something in order to be violent to it. If you don't objectify it as a threat and not a being, then you'll be violent to it. Okay? Like, I can kill a goat and eat it because for me it's food. I have to objectify it as food. There's no other way to do it, right? So avoid objectification when it comes to people that you care about, or when it comes to people who can harm you, who have the capacity to harm you. Learn to judge people's capacity of violence. Peace is a beautiful flower that grows in the container called violence. The capacity for violence, not violence, but the capacity for violence. Peace is a flower that grows in the capacity for violence. This is what the teachings of martial art are. Martial art is not for beating up people. It's not even for. I mean, it began, of course, as a martial arts began as a way to protect your land. That's how people started to think of more and more efficient ways to protect their land. And then when women became objects, the womb became an object, then it's a way to protect your particular womb that you own as a man. And but a lot of it has evolved since then. Even women have made martial arts, and a lot of them are pretty darn good. Why would a woman make martial arts? Because to be macho is not feminine. So why would she pursue these macho arts? Simply to protect her peace, to protect the freedom that you have to do what you want to do. It's not possible unless you start to think like a warrior. Martial arts are a way of protecting peace. There's no other goal of martial art. Don't trust the people who tell you martial art leads to spirituality and you'll move your chi and then something's going to happen to you. Well, that's a trip you can take, but it's pretty useless. You can feel good in so many ways, man. There's just no limit to the human capacity to feel good, you know. But somewhere down the line we have to realize martial arts has a specific purpose, and that specific purpose is for you to afford peace. If you stray from this purpose, then your training will be not martial art. It's just an art then. It's like any other art. The art of war, or the warrior's art, or martial art, is completely different from all the other arts, because this one gives you peace. It's not guaranteed that you'll get peace being a painter or being a sculptor or any other kind of poets are mostly just tortured souls. They don't have peace. So in martial art there is a worship of the aesthetic of peace, which is why people should learn martial arts. There's no other reason to do it. And this involves a certain amount, a certain building of the capacity for violence, which means I'm going to train in punches and kicks and how to be responding to a violent attack. A violent attack comes only when you reject somebody. They want something and you say, I'm not going to give it to you. That's when you have to get violent. You might have to if the person attacks you. But more than learning just physical techniques, it's really important to learn the art of war itself. How does a human being perceive when someone is stronger than them or not? What are the ways in which a person judges you? What is the cultural narrative that's going on in the background? What ground are you standing on emotionally, and in yours, that is your personal orientation, and in the eyes of the attacker, what kind of ground is he standing on? Both physical ground and also moral ground, and also the grounds of power. Where does he stand? What is his capacity? So you have to learn to know yourself completely and know the person in front of you completely. To know yourself, you have to know your ego, and to know the other person completely, you have to know their. You have to have empathy. You know, the perspective of ego will help you to know yourself. The perspective of empathy will help you to know the other person. And then there's a third perspective, the perspective of environment. The culture of respect is tied in with the practice of martial art. You needn't have a perfect body. You needn't have also a body that's able. If there are certain parts of your body that don't really work, that's fine. Say you don't have a hand, you can still learn martial arts. Say you don't have eyes, you can still learn martial art. It really doesn't matter. Because as long as the mind is allowed to feel ego, empathy, and the environment. If your mind is allowed to feel the 3 E's, then martial art is for you. You can do it. So, trying to understand martial art by watching movies is very stupid, because the goal of movies is to entertain you. Not to say that martial art isn't entertaining or is not eye candy, but it is. But you can't take only the eye candy. There's a lot below the surface. What you see above the surface is external martial arts, but there's a lot going on internally. So you have to know that part, and that part is crucial in building a culture of respect around yourself. At least a bubble of respect which you can live in your entire life and really enjoy yourself. Have all the love that you want to have all the peace that you want to have. And any community that starts to build and talk about peace without building martial capacity is just going to get swallowed by some other community. You know what I'm saying? It's happened over and over. History has repeated itself, and it's time we learn from this, and it's time we build a physical practice into our efforts for peace. Build a physical practice into our efforts for respect and love. I know a lot of people are working on this, right? And my offer to all of them is I will help you build the physical capacity for it, and also the emotional capacity for it. Because in martial art, it's very much required to expand your body and build a relaxation response. People are actually amazed when they see my body and they feel my forearm for the first time, and they're like, what is this? Is this a muscle? But it is. It is a muscle. Otherwise, if you're not using it, it should be in relaxation. Why are you having thoughts firing off your ganglia and your plexus and then tensing up muscles when there is no action to be taken? When there is an action to be taken, yes, by all means tense yourself, take the action, and then come back to relaxation. This is a habit. It's called the relaxation response. It's something that can be trained, just like the stress response. Children are trained in stress response from when they're born, you know. Parents put so much pressure on them, and we really damage our children. But it's not a problem, because even an adult's brain is plastic, and they can remold themselves into whatever they want to be. Like I did it when I realized I was messed up since a certain age. I went back to that age, and in my mind, and I went back there with my wisdom as a 30-something-year-old, and I kind of constructed myself from there to form a clear narrative. We have fractured narratives. We have double values, right? Double standards, they're called. Parents teach you to value one thing, and simultaneously in their actions they value something else. They tell you you can be whatever you want, and then they tell you that you should be an engineer. So this creates a fractured narrative for a child, and anybody with a fractured narrative is not strong emotionally. They start to become weak, and this is the only cause of emotional weakness, or emotional instability, if you want to call it that. Or basically everyone enjoys positive emotions, but emotions are just two. One, you feel hopeful and secure, and in the other, you feel hopeless and insecure. These are the only two kinds of emotion, and we must move towards the first one. If you want to move towards the first one, it starts with the body, but it's also a habit to say there's an answer, I can find it, I can communicate, you've got to rely on your ability. You've got to rely on your capacities, which only comes with proof. Your brain needs to see again and again that you're doing something, and you're trustworthy. You can trust yourself. Now for the last bit. Muscles don't relax. no matter what you do, they're not going to relax. They need to feel a certain quality from the environment, and only then they're going to relax. They don't respond to your brain and imagination. You can sit and imagine yourself as a rubber as much as you want, but you're not going to relax until you get a stimulus from outside that tells you it's okay to relax. So that's why sometimes when someone places their hand on us and shows some kind of empathy, we feel supported and we start to relax our muscles, right? Now this is the essence of massage. I think massage came from this. When human beings used to touch each other and they realized certain ways of touch make human beings feel better and better and better. And in yoga we went into a lot of details about this, mapping all the plexus, knowing the neuroanatomy. Even before the word neuron was invented in the West, we knew neuroanatomy, we called it nadis. But now nadis have been portrayed as some kind of metaphysical thing, which is kind of sad, because the whole nadi samsthana is valued in the Nath literature. There are 12 major nerves which we work on, and there are a lot of minor nerves which we work on. We understand the innervation of the body and how different kinds of things are passed in the nerves. Electrical impulses and also neurotransmitters, which are basically molecules being exchanged between the axons. The dendrites exchange electricity, which are both amplitude and frequency modulated, carrying a lot of information from the environment to the brain. So the brain then decides what muscles to be tightened. It's the environment that plays a great role in your brain. So what if you had the power, what if you had the power to give someone a massage in which they could completely relax, and also simultaneously if you could make them aware of how their muscles are pulling as an actual physical thing in their body in response to their thinking. If you could do that, then how would your relationship be with that person?